Welcome back to the Kids to Love podcast. I'm joined today by Beverly Owings, who is our Director of Social Services. We're going to get to how she came about what I would say earning that title, deserving that title. But I kind of wanted to go back to where it kind of all began for us. And it was interesting because we were both in Montgomery at an adoption proclamation signing, dare I say, when we were still invited. And we were down, and I knew who you were, and because I don't know, I think for those of us working in child welfare, it's a very small pocket of people, and I just feel like those of us who truly feel called to be in this space, I think we stand out, and I don't mean that in an elitist way whatsoever. We're driven by heart and by purpose, and to me that's very clear in the motivation. So you and I have known of each other for a long time, and we were sitting there that day, and I remember before it started, I was just told that I needed to come up and connect with you. Do you want to pick it up from there?
Yes, it was very different. I knew a little bit about Kids to Love. I mean, just your heart, your passion, and we serve the same population. And so you just walked up to me, and I can remember you had on a green dress, and you walked up and you said, Beverly, I just have a feeling that you and I are supposed to be serving together. And I don't know what that looks like. I just want to ask you to be praying about it because I'm praying about it. And I mean, it caught me completely off guard, had no idea that we would be where we are today.
I think God knew.
Oh,
I think
most
God
definitely.
knew, and
it was
that
His
was
plan.
What was prompting me to get up and say something because I mean, I don't know, in a situation like that, there's just so many people there. Usually you would get there, get your seat, and, kind of talk around those. But I just felt like I was supposed to get up and go say that to you. And what I didn't know at the time was Beverly and her husband, Jeremy, felt led to lead a camp for siblings that were separated in their placement, and that was a lot of what you had on your caseload, those older kids. So kind of talk about that calling and what you guys were walking through simultaneously with me saying this to you.
Yes. So at that time, I was working with an organization that was recruiting adoptive parents, and I had a caseload of children that were considered the harder to place children. It was teenagers and it was sibling groups. And so my role was to get to know those children. My role was to try to locate an adoptive family. And for the sibling groups, I would meet with those children. One may be in Mobile, one may be in Huntsville, and they would not have seen each other for 6 months, 9 months. I remember one of them giving me a color sheet that was Merry Christmas, and it was around fall. And she was holding on to that from the previous Christmas because she had not seen her sister. And she said, if you see her, would you please give this to her?
That's heavy.
Yes. And so, ironically, I had one child that was on my caseload that was actually in Huntsville. And it was that young lady that that really just gripped me, that we needed something more in our state. And I had went to visit her, and I was sitting there with her and just, doing the preparation of what would an adoptive family look like to you? Would you want to live in the country, in the city? Would you want a mom and a dad? Would you, we're just talking, and she was quiet, but it was not one word answers. And she looked at me after I was talking for about 5 minutes, and she said, Miss Beverly, if you find me a home that I can be with my brother and sister again, she said, I don't care if they're black, white, young, old, married, single, rich or poor.
Country mouse, city mouse, just get me together.
Yes, I just want to be with my brother and sister. And I was in a conference room at a school in Madison County, and I walked out because it was all I could do to just hold it, hold it
Yeah.
together. The desperation of her that she had of just being with her siblings. And I left out of that, sat in my car, and just sobbed. And I called my husband and I said, what, like, there's nothing in the state for bringing siblings together. I can't do this. I can't this. And he said, if God continues to bring this in front of you, then he knows you have within you what these children need. And that was heavy. I thought that was just going to be more of a conversation of complaining and crying out.
Right.
And it hit me that I've got to do something. And so, long story short, I just started praying and was in the very beginning stages of creating Camp Hope, Alabama, a weekend camp where siblings would come together, spend the weekend together, and just be able to be kids. And that is when that's when God brought us together.
And I remember Beverly and I got together, and the group that she used to work with, we worked with and have a great relationship with still, and have nothing but respect for them and what they do in the state. And so I was sharing with her, I remember that conversation happened November of 2014. I was still at the television station because I remember that same day I was down there to interview Governor Bentley. He was still in office. And we were given the building that is the Kids to Love Center in February of 2015. And I left television in March of 2015 to bring the center and K-Tech and everything that we're setting into life. And so there were different times that you were in town and we would connect, and I'd be like, hey, if you're in town, come by and see this building. And I mean, there was a lot of work to be done. And so there were, I would say it was well over a year or so of conversation. And as we would just have conversations, we were trying to figure out what was this, what were the pieces. And the whole time, God was bringing the center, and then God brought the farm. And I would just see all these pieces he was putting in place, growing our scope of service, and then God just kept putting this burden that you were supposed to be a part of it. And so I remember the day that I took you and Jeremy out to see Davidson Farms. Y'all had actually come up, I think, for Christmas to help us with Christmas. And we were just trying to figure it all out. And it was actually the next January that I think we made it official, where why would Camp Hope not be an outreach program of Kids to Love? Because it completely fit the values of who we are and how we were serving. But not just that, what I felt more than anything in my spirit was I needed to strengthen our team of those of us who were called to serve this demographic, because it's hard to serve in this space every day. I mean, you just gave a little bit of glimpse of what you saw with siblings, and that was just one example of one child on your caseload. I mean, we see this every day.
We do. Yeah, and what was so powerful for me when we came together was we can sometimes be defined as very different.
Yes.
And very passionate.
Very passionate.
Or
we've been told we're very
you
passionate.
can't save the world. You can't save all of them. Well, you can until you start trying.
That's right.
And that one matters.
That's right.
And so whenever we came together, it was like, oh my goodness, there is someone else that's not going to look at me and say, you can't save the world. It's going to be, how can we get one more? How can we save one more? How can we help one more?
That's right.
And so I think, to me, that was the most powerful, was when we would look at obstacles, you looked at it as an opportunity, never an obstacle. And with what we do on a daily basis, it is hard and it is multiple obstacles, but you've got to view it as an opportunity to serve. And that is what was so different, is this is serving.
And so now here we are, fast forward 10 years later, which is kind of crazy that, that 10 years has passed. Beverly's our Director of Social Services. That means really that all social services are under your guidance and leadership as it should be. So that means our child placing agency really falls under your leadership. Davidson Farms falls under her leadership. The cottages fall under her leadership, which sounds really good in a flow chart. But the reality is, it could be 8:30 on a Saturday night, and Beverly calls and says, "I just need to make you aware." And it will be a situation that's happened. But what I know is before that, I got the call because she knew I needed to get the call. Before my call came, she was in place. Nikki, our case manager, was in place. If necessarily, Shiloh, our house mom, was in place. Stacy, our mentor at the farm, was in place.
Yes.
I mean, everybody else, Shanna, our compliance director, was in place. Everybody else was in place. And it is such a comfort to me to know that you guys are there and you have it, because there's not a decision Beverly's made. I back you. And that's my thing, as I back you, because I believe now we're 10 years in and we all have the same plumb line of how we're going to serve, whatever it takes. It's not just a core value of our team. It's I think, a catalyst of our mission statement of whatever it takes to serve these kids. And, that's not Monday through Friday, 8
Oh,
to
no.
5. It's especially not Monday through Friday, 8 to
That's
5.
right. That's right. It's 24/7, but it truly is the whatever it takes, because we are the only ones that most of the children and families that we serve have to call. And it's tough if you've just walked into a restaurant with your family and you're getting ready to order, and you get the phone call and you look at your husband and you take the keys and you're in the car while they eat. It's not glamorous. It's not. However, when I know that I have been on the other end of that call of that teenager that is pouring her heart out because she's devastated because someone did not show up for a visit or someone else has let her down. And then at the end of that phone call, for her to say, "Miss Beverly, thank you for talking to me tonight." I hate that I missed that dinner with my family, but at that moment, I was all she had.
Yeah.
And that is part of whatever it takes. And it takes a supportive family on my end.
That's right.
To understand that.
Yes.
But it truly is. I mean, how could I sit there and enjoy dinner with a family for a young lady that at that moment her life was falling apart, that did not have a family?
She was in the middle of crisis.
That's right. And so we serve very different. And I say that with pride because I have been a foster parent before. I am an adoptive parent of 5 children. And having someone on the other end of that phone at 9 o'clock at night on a holiday, just about every holiday, that's where the emotions hit the most.
Holidays, just a day on the calendar.
I mean, that could make the difference of saving a placement.
That's right.
That means saving a home for a family. That means saving an argument with a wife and a husband because they don't know what to do. They're grasping. They just need, sometimes it's just to listen. Sometimes it is to give advice and direction. But most of the time it's to validate their feelings and to know that they're making the right decision.
So, we talk about all the time about we serve different. And a lot of people, I think, who aren't in this world don't understand, okay, well, congratulations, you serve different. So to me, I really wanted to just pull the curtain back a little bit today to educate people and explain what different looks like. So we say that, we know that we have successfully privatized foster care in the state of Alabama. What that means now is that we have a lot of people that are voluntarily placing their children with us.
Yes.
That's all of those conversations have been hard, but it's taken into account the situation, where that family is, what that mom might need at that moment. We have courts that have placed children with us directly, which is a responsibility that we don't take any of it lightly. but to have that relationship and that trust with the court system, and they know that they can call us, and we're always going to be everything that child needs as within our possibility, our ability. So knowing that you've walked that journey of foster care and adoption, from your point of view, I mean, we serve different. I mean, what does that mean to Joe Q public that's never even
Right.
Why should you care? I guess.
Well, and I think one layer is typically the general public does not understand the needs of children in foster care, of the families that their children are in foster care. Those parents need support. The biological parents need the support and services just as much as the child does. We serve different because we support those parents. We find those services for the parents because reunification is always the goal when possible and when it's in the best interest of the child. The flip side of that is how we serve our foster parents, the support that we offer our foster parents. I have said for 10 years now, there's never been one need that I have brought before you to say, I know we've not had this come up before, but this is what this child needs. And most of the time your answer is, have you taken care of it yet? And so from my position, that knowing that our team has that type of support, we had a mom one night that needed a hotel room because she was in a very unsafe situation. And I knew that I could call and I could pay for that hotel room and I could tell you about it on Monday and it was taken care of. And so it is the support that we offer not only the child, which is our main focus, but it is the support that we offer our biological families, and it is the support that we offer our foster families. And that support, like I mentioned a while ago, could be being available late at night for phone calls. It could be helping those foster parents if their work schedule is pretty tight and children need to go to the doctor, they need to go to the dentist. There could be a conflict with an activity that they've got, of knowing that they could call us and say, hey, can you help me with this doctor's appointment? Can you get my child to the eye doctor? And yes, we can. And most of our parents take on that role themselves, which we want them to. But we also recognize if you get multiple placements or children are in your home for 2 or 3 months, they go home, another one comes, every child has to go to the doctor within 10 days, then that could start eating up a lot of PTO time for foster families.
Well, and it's so interesting. There is such a demand on our team because now we do have more than 20 children right now, I would say, in our fold. And by in our fold, I mean either placed with one of our foster families, placed at the farm or in a cottage. And every one of those kids have severe needs. And so it is the support is so great. We have an entire group me dedicated to transportation.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, and
transportation alone sometimes
yes.
could mean 20 phone calls a day to take care of one need.
Right.
And that sounds crazy to some, but if that's what it takes, because you know what? If it was your daughter that needed to go to the doctor or make it to basketball practice, if you have to call 10 different friends you're going to make that happen.
Well, and we are so big on, we're not just saying we're doing it different, we're showing that we're doing it different. And part of that difference is that we're building a community for our kids and our family. And they know that and they feel that. I mean, the adoption that we had just last week, I mean, the foster mom talked about how, we're a community. She that was our intention, and then for her to say that back to us was just like that's how we want them to feel. Something that we've really seen, an increase in. I don't know. I'd say over the past year and a half, more than we've seen before, are failed adoptions. and it's so heartbreaking to me. And to me, I try to look at, okay, what's the problem? How do we, put in better remedies on the forefront? But the reality is, for a couple or an individual to want to adopt a child, that's opening your heart and your home to severe trauma, which is why we have our entire trauma division. A lot of the reach outs that we've received from parents of adoptions that aren't going well, the initial reach out is, we need help.
Yes.
And so we try to bring them in and support them with trauma. But then once they kind of get in the fold and they see all of our services, sometimes it is a solution to, and I don't know, I think we're seeing this more with girls and teenage girls. And I mean, if you've ever raised teenage girls, but our farm has just become such a safe haven for young ladies that are dealing with that. And sometimes it's short term, sometimes it's long term. Again, reunification is the goal, even with adoptive parents.
Right.
But that's not always the reality that we live in. So not only are we dealing with children who are hurt and who have been hurt, now we're dealing with children who've been hurt again and again and again. And that takes a special love and patience and grace that I don't think comes naturally for anyone. I mean, this is very much an acquired skill that our team has had to learn.
And the therapy that is provided with that. It's not just that a child was not doing well in one home and does well at Davidson Farms. It is all of the services that we provide at Davidson Farms. The equine therapy, I can't begin to talk enough about the equine therapy and how healing that is for our girls, how much they enjoy that. And so it's very different, and that's hard for parents sometimes, many times.
Because it doesn't mean that they didn't do it well.
Right.
They did it as well as they knew how to do it.
That's exactly right.
They don't have all of this infrastructure in place of years of dealing and learning about trauma.
Yes.
No parent would have that available at their home.
Yes.
That's why we exist.
Right. And so that's been a significant key to the healing at Davidson Farms and our girls.
It's interesting. We had a young lady that was, the family had contacted us and was interested. One of our most recent, and when you showed the pictures of the horses, I mean, that was, because ultimately it was her decision. I mean, the parents had a great influence, but for us, we never want a child coming that doesn't want to be there.
That's exactly right.
If they're not going to,
we're a home. We're not a lockdown facility.
Absolutely. And again, how do you do it different? We're a home.
Right.
How do you do it different? You're here because you want to be here. You want to be in our community.
Right.
And but horses really the deciding factor for this young lady.
Yes, that really, because I was in the parents' home talking with her, talking with the parents. Of course, there had been multiple conversations prior to that, and she was quiet. I was a stranger in her home, and I just said, "Can I show you some pictures of Davidson Farms?" And so she slid over a little closer to me, and so I started showing her pictures, and she saw our barn and the horses, and she goes, "Hold on, you have horses?" And I said, "Oh yes, do you like horses?" "I love horses. I want to be a vet one day."
Oh my gosh.
And so it was simply the pictures of the horses that opened the door for me to talk with her about equine therapy. Of course, I didn't use the word equine and I didn't use the word therapy, but to talk with her about our services, and it was the picture of the horses where she relaxed, and she was very open to that. And so I left the conversation with, talk to your mom and dad about the things we've just talked about. Let me know if you have any questions, you have any concerns. And she said, "I think I'll be okay since the horses are there." Now, of course, we know it's a lot more than the horses.
Right, right.
But again, it is, for every child, it is finding what you can connect with them with. And for her and many other of our girls, it has been the horses.
And so that wasn't the day that she moved. That was not the intention of the visit that
Right.
day. But Nikki on our team, helped to facilitate the move. And, this was during the holidays, which is a hard time, but it was the right time that the family and that the young lady decided. And so she actually came to the farm New Year's Eve, I believe. And later that day, Shiloh, our house mom, sent a picture of this young lady, and she was already out. I mean, like, she had not been to the farm. I don't even know if she was unpacked in her room yet, but pictures that she was out with out on the farm, and Shiloh said, we're already getting some barn time in.
Yes.
And to me, that just was, when we started talking about adding horses to Davidson Farms, we had studied the benefits, the therapy benefits of horses. All of our kids have been hurt and betrayed by people, so they don't trust people. But I'm telling you, there's just something magical about a horse with a child that has trauma.
Yes.
And we see it every day with our girls. They love to be involved. And so when I saw that, I just, because, anytime this is happening, we're praying for guidance. We're praying, gosh, are we the right fit for her? Is she the right fit for us? Can we make an impact in their life? Can we be a difference maker?
Yes.
Can we write a path maybe that's going down the wrong road? I mean, that a lot of times has been a situation of girls that we deal with. And so I don't know that when I saw her with those horses that day in that picture, I just had this peace wash over me of she's home.
Yeah.
Now we don't know how long home it will be. We know that there are some young ladies that we're just, we're seasons in their life, and that really is our goal, to be a successful season in their life.
Right.
We joke that, sometimes they love us, sometimes they don't, because there is tough love we all as parents, boundaries sometimes are hard, and accountability is hard.
That's right.
But it is so critical for us to be what I feel successful in the lives of these young ladies that get to call the farm home, because not every one of them, it is a selection process. We're not just a facility. Our goal is not to have, to fill a bed. That is never our intention.
We never, because we are a home. And when you think about going into someone's home, the difference, if you're staying a weekend or if you're staying 2 weeks, the difference if they make you feel part of their family, versus you're just a guest staying there. And from day one, we try to find out ahead of time what are their favorite foods, what do they like, so that we've got things in their room that's their favorite color. We like to take them shopping to pick out their comforter, their wall decorations, so that it's their room. But we also want some things that they're like, oh, pink is my favorite, or purple is my favorite color. And so then they sit down for the first meal at Davidson Farms. And chicken fingers and macaroni and cheese, which is just about every, child or teenager's
Sounds
favorite,
good,
right? But it's like, this is my favorite meal. And they're not saying those things, but you can see it on their face.
Right. Well, it's just, again, this is how we serve different. There's so much intentionality.
Yes.
That we put into things. We don't just halfway do it. Nothing is by chance.
Right.
And, and I love that when all those things start coming together, and then people really that weren't involved in the conversations, but maybe, spectators are like, oh, that was so cool that so-and-so, can you believe? And we're just like, yes, we can. Because there was so much time and effort that our team put in to make that transition, knowing it would be hard, but how do we make it as soft of a landing as possible?
Yes.
That's our goal.
Yes, that is it, because we want, now there could be certain circumstances that we were pulled in for custody, that we were not able to put all of this work in
Right,
advance.
right.
And if we are here to serve the court system.
That's right.
And if that is the need, our preference is to be able to work with a family in advance so that the young lady moving there, she knows a face. She has been able to ask us questions. Because even whether it's a younger girl or a teenager, when I meet them, I typically say, hey, I'm here for you to interview me and ask me questions. And you just see teenagers look at you like, I don't hear that. And I'm like, you ask me. I'm not here to ask you the questions. And of course, it starts out with what are the cell phone rules? What are the dating rules? When can I drive? Those things. And then we get down to some of the nitty gritty of what their questions are. But we just want them to feel as comfortable as possible when they come through our front door.
The goal for us is not to add another layer of trauma to an already traumatized life that they have lived. And especially when I'm looking at, I think we've seen two trends in the last year and a half to 2 years, maybe 3 years, that it keeps going up. Like I said, the first one is disrupted adoptions. And it just, for us, then it shows us as we work with other foster families that want to adopt, are we doing everything we can? So we don't just take this as a one-off, this is a situation. We look at that as, how does that impact how we serve? Yes. What are we doing to strengthen adoptive and foster families in our fold now? So if the opportunity does come and adoption is the choice, how do we make sure that we don't have disruption with our families, and all of those support systems that go along with that on the CPA, on the adoption side, is very intentional. The other trend that we're seeing is teenage moms.
Yes.
And right now we have 4 teenage moms in our fold, and there was one situation where a judge called and said, this teenage mom is a good mom. She's just a teenager, and she doesn't have the support. He called us because he didn't want them to be separated.
Yes.
And so we have been so blessed with foster families that have kept 3 of the mom babies together due to the mom's age. One young lady and her baby has been successful in a cottage. And so I look at each is, a case-by-case different. We say we do foster care different. Most of the time you see Beverly, she's got a smile on her face, but we're not dealing with the easy things. Because, these are, for a family to be willing to take a teen mom and baby, you're not just taking care of the teen mom, you're teaching that teen mom how to be a parent while they're still a child.
Yes.
And that's also a very... so our foster families are taking on a lot of responsibility when they say yes to any child, but I feel like it truly is a calling when they say yes to moms and babies.
Yes, yes. And that's such a need, because our teenage moms, most of them are in the situation because they did not have the best examples set for them. And how do we expect things to change with the next generation if there's not an intervention and an impact?
We've got to break that cycle.
Yes.
And that's what we get to do.
Yes. And so our foster parents, and it's a daily balance of the responsibility for the teenage mom versus the responsibility for the foster parent, but it is modeling how to parent a child. That's very different. Parenting classes are wonderful. That may be 2 hours once a week or once every other week. When they have this modeled in front of them 24/7, they see the foster mom that is full of stress of coming in from work and still having to balance dinner, and a dad coming in that's had a stressful day, and the communication. So they're seeing all of this in how to parent, how to have a healthy relationship, all of those things that most of them have missed up to this point in life.
We had one young lady that that is in our fold, and she actually asked us to petition the court so we would have custody of her, because she said this is the most stability that she's ever had.
Yes.
And so I don't know. And she's a phenomenal teen mom.
She
I mean,
is.
she's a phenomenal mom. The fact that she's a teen really.
Yes.
Because sometimes when I see her with her child, I think she's doing such a good job as a mom. I forget that she's a teenager.
Yes.
I mean, because of she's had to grow up fast,
Yes.
and the maturity of that. So to me, I just see so many, and I tell people in the community, I don't know, people that I've met with, we're seeing an increase in teen moms. We're seeing an increase in failed adoptions. And everybody's like, what? It's 2025, 2026. We shouldn't be seeing this. Yeah. It's in the shadow of every steeple in our community is where
Yes.
it's going.
Yes.
So I want us to kind of end on a positive, because, I mean, we could take this conversation a lot of different ways. I mean, we could give you the top 10 things we've seen that we never thought we would see.
Right.
Top 10 conversations we never thought we would
Oh,
be
no,
having.
that's the best.
Yeah.
Teenagers and
Yeah, like, could you shower? But that's a whole podcast for maybe parents altogether, right? But one of the things that I want to leave is really to, as our effort in all of this is to educate the community of the need, educate them of, why and how we do different. We have got 3 opportunities coming up in the next several months to have a chance to be part of our community. And these are with the, foster parenting classes. And let me just encourage you, you can come and train with us, and that is transferable to anyone else, and that is at no cost. We do have pretty strict threshold and guidelines of what it takes to foster with us. Because,
Yes.
just because someone trains with us doesn't mean that they're going to meet our policy requirements to foster with us. But we don't want to discourage anyone. But the other thing that I want to really encourage is when we talk about building our community, and we just talked about all the need for transportation, because we want our kids to be in extracurricular. I mean, we've got one young lady placed with us that is a phenomenal gymnast, and she is just, she's killing it. And I mean, we're so proud of her. We're so proud that we have a foster family that embraces that, and we're so proud that we have a donor that funds that. So I mean, it's all of that, but because I mean, opportunities a lot of times cost money, and that's resources. But the other thing that we're trying to create really is a respite community.
Yes.
So if we had, say, you're sitting there and you're saying, gosh, we're too old, or we're empty nesters. Empty nesters, we're coming for you.
Yes.
But that really is who we need to consider taking part in these classes to really become almost like an aunt and uncle figure, or a grandparent figure, like we all ideally would have raising a family. We've all got those family ripples. We are manufacturing those family ripples with aunts and uncles or grandparents that can step in and be part of our kids' lives. So talk a little bit about what's coming up with these classes and the infrastructure we're trying to provide, and what that commitment might look like if someone, I mean, if you want to be a foster parent, we'd love to have you.
Yes.
But we've got other ways that we can plug you into our community of caring.
Right. And our goal is to have a respite family for every foster family. We're not there yet. We will be eventually. But
You can be
that
part of that.
That's right. That's right. But our goal, like I said, is to have a respite family for every foster family, and that is where the respite family and the foster family, they know each other. The children, like you mentioned, the aunt and uncle, the grandparent, so that if it could be something as simple as these next 3 days, I have a very long work schedule. Like I know that I need to be at work at 7 a.m. and I'm probably not going to be home till 9 p.m. And if a family calls us, then we're going to try to find respite. And And so what we have 3 classes that's going to be coming up, 2 in the Huntsville area, 1 in the Wetumpka area. And so we would love if there are any families that have ever considered at all, and it may not be, because when you say considered foster care, that's a big step.
Yeah.
So it may be that you have had a feeling of, I still have something to give. God's not through with me yet. My children are grown. I'm not ready to make a lifetime commitment
I have
or a
all these empty
full-time
rooms.
commitment. Yes, yes. But that you would consider being a respite foster parent. And that means 2 days here and there, a weekend, covering for a foster family in emergency. And so that is a great way to serve. It's also a good way to just start out being a respite parent to see, is this right? Now, the process of the classes, it's 10 weeks and 3 hours a night. And that process, the curriculum, all of that helps you and helps us determine if foster care is right for your family right now. But if you still have strong hesitation, but you know you want to serve, respite would be great. And we completely respect if we have a family that, 2 things, if we have a family that has provided respite a couple of times and said, you know what, I thought my biological child was ready for this, and they're not. We do not put
Total
pressure
respect.
on our families because we want strong, healthy families. And that is also for our foster families. So it may be that they want to be on hold. They still have to be licensed, meet the license requirement. That just means internally we're not going to call them for placement. That could be 6 months or a year. It could be that a family is, they want to provide temporary care but not permanent, meaning they know their work schedule would not allow that. We encourage you to come to classes, understand more about foster care. There are very few people in our community that, if they do not serve in this field, that truly get the commitment it takes to be a foster family. And if a family doesn't have that right now, it doesn't mean they may not be a good foster family a year from now, 2 years from now. But we want to help them determine if this is the right time. And that's what the classes are for. That's what our home studies are for, our home visits, of having those conversations. And sometimes it is helping a family realize now is not the right time. You've got the heart for it, but because of X, Y, and Z, this is not the best time for your family. Those are hard conversations, but again, we are here to strengthen all of our families, including our foster families.
So we're going to have more information on our website coming up about the classes. Again, 2 in Huntsville, 1 in the Wetumpka area. Kids to Love, if it's the child placing agency, we're licensed to serve statewide. We do private adoption in Alabama and in Tennessee. And Davidson Farms, we can serve
statewide.
We can serve girls. I'm almost like I'm stopping and saying, but I feel like I need to say that if you're a family struggling, we're just encouraging not to struggle alone. Admitting that there's a struggle is not a weakness. To me, that's one of the biggest strengths. Reach out to us, and you may think, oh my gosh, I've already adopted, but this, that, and the other. I mean, with our support services and what we like to say our ecosystem of foster care, we could support with therapy. It might be good that you kind of take a break, and maybe it's a week or 2 placement at the farm this summer. I don't know. It would be case by case, situation by situation of each family, but just don't suffer in silence, I guess is the biggest thing that I feel led to say. And if you have any interest at all in what we've talked about, give us a call. We would love to answer your questions, put you in the hopper, so to speak, of learning more about how we serve and how we serve different. The other thing for us is the serving different is sometimes having those hard conversations with birth moms at tables who know that right now they can't be what that child needs, and for them to walk in and voluntarily place that child with us. There have been some that have been short-term, longer term, and some that we had one mom that wanted a place with us and requested that our foster family be present. She wanted to meet them. And there was just a lot of situations that this mom, we tried to help her.
Yes.
But it was more than she could overcome. And so it ended up that our family kept their word. And if for any reason, she said, if there's any reason I can't get my child back, will you adopt him? And our family said yes, and that adoption happened last year. So it really is giving birth moms a voice at the table, which I am very passionate about, giving kids, empowering foster parents. But at the end of the day, what we will always do is what is in the best interest of that child.
Yes.
Sometimes that means we're David taking on Goliath.
Yeah.
And if that's what it takes, that's what we'll take. That's what we'll do for every one of our kids. So I just wanted you to meet Beverly on our team. We have a phenomenal team of people that just serve from the heart. And now I think you see why I felt called now 12 years ago to say, we're supposed to do something together.
Right.
We still are supporting Camp Hope, Alabama. But I think now we've got a lot of other things going on. But there have been weekend camps. There have been day trips. So it really is if a child comes on our radar and we see that they've not seen their siblings, I think right now we solve that sooner than later because we can now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas before I don't know, maybe needed to have a little bit more. With us being 100% private placement now, we make sure that our kids see their siblings and do everything we can to keep siblings placed together when we have a family that will say yes to that. So thank you for your time. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for riding, Mr. Toad's wild ride with me every day. I think that's the best way to describe it some days. But for more information on foster care and adoption, you can always log on to kidstolove.org. For more information on support with mental health resources, Hope for Trauma is a great place to get that. And we would love for you to come be a part of the conversation and see if foster care is something for you. And if we can ever help in any way, you and your family and how you're struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks for tuning in to our latest podcast here with Kids to Love.